Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about Paradise, season one, I guess, episode 5, in the places of crowned kings. I'm with my fellow Utopia Paradise compatriot, Winnie. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic this week. How about yourself?
Could be better, but definitely could be worse. But thank you for asking. So we already reviewed the first 4 episodes and we kind of binged it through, and now we're going to be reviewing these episodes episodically. And we're into episode 5 now, just beyond the halfway mark, I believe, in the places of Crown Kings. And a lot of revelation came in this episode, but for me, the revelation came through just simple storytelling and not necessarily uncovering, because Xavier Collins, our main protagonist, he's still quite in the dark about certain things, not realizing that Billy's girlfriend is the Billy who died last week. His girlfriend was the murderer, and she's playing it like she's distraught. But we've got to find out a few things, mainly from the president's perspective. This was really his episode. Um,
hmm
how did you find it?
I actually enjoyed the way they kind of told us some of things. I know we're not uncovering it, but I enjoyed like they kind of did it like a I don't even know how to say this. They did it like we watched this episode before, but now we're seeing his part of the story instead of, just the chunks of Xavier's life. Now we're seeing the president's life. And what was going on at certain details. So I kind of like the way they did that, because like that one part where we see Xavier like and go to the Sinatra and to him like, "Are you guys okay? Are we fighting? What's going on?" Well, now we see what they were fighting about, and that is kind of interesting.
Yeah, exactly. There's so various fights in this that were explained between not just Xavier, but regarding what from some of the perspective he saw with him and Sinatra, with the president Sinatra, but the president and his mistress as
Mm-hmm.
well, and also the president and his father, who
Mm-hmm.
came across as a real asshole before
Mm-hmm.
the dementia kicked in, and even then, after the dementia, he was still an asshole
Mm-hmm. He went
as well.
down an asshole, even though at the end he was like, "I feel bad for what I did." Cal never knew that. He never gave Cal the chance to know that.
Yeah,
So that's kind of shitty. It was like he couldn't tell him. It reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever watched King of the Hill, but Cotton Hill was like that. He didn't ever want to give any love to his son for whatever reason, and it was the same sort of thing.
yeah, yeah, and regarding the lineage of family, because we definitely saw nepotism in play here. But
Mm-hmm.
did you notice, like the president himself, he liked to have a drink,
Yes.
and his son was mocking him for it. But then, just as the funeral was happening and all of that, we see the son, he's drinking as well now. He's knocking back whiskeys and stuff, and he's giving eulogies where you could tell the intoxication has definitely played a role in it regarding some of the stuff he's talking about, and he's trying to disguise it. But yeah, like father, like son, that's for sure as well. And
Can
I
you
think,
blame him
yeah,
though? Because he's hearing some things about his dad that like probably didn't want to know or didn't ever need to know. But like when you're the president's son,
no, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and there's just so many things that happened in this episode as well. Like he's having the relationship with that sorry, the president. He's like having an affair. I wouldn't even say affair. He's kind of like split up from his wife, but he still has to keep up appearances.
Mm-hmm.
But with the other congresswoman who he's having an affair with her,
Yeah,
and
the she's the head of the CIA or whatever they call it down there.
yeah, exactly. And then they find out they have guns, and
Yeah.
yeah, but he doesn't trust her enough, or is not willing to tell her where those guns are at.
Do you think cuz he actually loves her, so he's not telling her because he knows that he knows too much, so they're probably going to kill him, so he doesn't want that to happen to her?
I think it's just a responsibility of, like, you can't be telling people you don't know, even if you're close to them. But she wants to know now, which is
Mhm.
which is uh which is a strange thing. And then regarding not knowing, the president of the United States, when he grabs that tablet, and by the way, once again, all of this stuff is revealed to us, the viewers, not to anyone else, unraveling this information during the course
Mm-hmm.
of the story. So, like, we found out that that tablet held information regarding what's going on in the outside world, but the president himself had no access to that information. He
Mm-hmm.
was restricted, and I believe his dad, who was a billionaire, definitely helped fund this bunker project. Was definitely a part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and he had access to that
It seems to me that the
information.
only people, like the president and whatever else, are figureheads. The only people that actually have access to stuff are the billionaires.
Yeah, exactly. And then people like Sinatra, who are the real brains behind that, because like like the president himself, like you kind of feel that all of this was just to get them a position of power, put them in a place where they can make where they can have influence. But the
Mm-hmm.
president himself, like he doesn't really come across as somebody who is as cutthroat as his dad, who definitely was pulling the strings regarding until the dementia kicked in. So you can see all of that coming into play, and he starts to find out. And I think obviously when he started to find out what was happening regarding the outside world and his conversation with Sinatra, that's definitely what got him killed. I mean, obviously Xavier heard them bickering a little bit, but he was obviously not tuning into their conversation too much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he knew that they were killing their own people from investigating the outside world and not wanting the outside world to know who that they existed and all of that sort of stuff. They're trying to keep themselves hidden from everyone, basically, and yeah, that's what kind of got the president killed.
And
So
and I and
yeah,
I get that, but do you think the president is right in saying shouldn't the people have a say?
it's weird that president. I almost find it hard to believe that a president would think that. Like he seems too much of a humanitarian in how I see American presidents nowadays. To feel that we need to save the people. I would think that he living in his little utopia, he would realize, no, I don't want other people coming in and ruining my shit. That's I genuinely feel that's I can't, as much as I might feel a bit more humanitarian as a human being. I just can't imagine the president of the United States wanting this little life of Riley to be ruffled,
Right.
by outside influences. I hate to say it like that, but that's just
No, I
how
get
I
it
envision it.
on some
Yeah,
point. And I think it shows, I don't want to say weakness, but it, like, to Sinatra, it definitely makes him weak so that she could use him as her figurehead.
yeah,
Um so I think that is like, cuz he wanted to be a high school teacher like his mom. He didn't want to do the oil thing. So he was like, what do I do? It was like a whole rebellious thing against his dad, and maybe not even rebellious, but like we know what fracking does. We know what drilling into the earth does. He a little bit, yeah, he had money, but he might not have he didn't want to be his dad. He didn't want to work for his dad and do those crappy things.
his dad wanted him to be cutthroat and
Mhm.
and vicious to a degree. I like the way he talked to him, because if you're a senator run as a Democrat, if you're a governor run as a Republican, like he just wanted to get him into politics, and he got him
Mhm.
into politics to such a degree, he ended up becoming the president of the United States. Um, I'm just going to quickly go on to some of the other characters now. I got her name here, Jane, who was Billy's
Ugh.
girlfriend. Yeah, like she
She was
really
the biggest, baddest MFer that there was, I guess.
put on the waterworks, and I would like to see more about her in the episode. How somebody could have no cares or feelings whatsoever for the person who was her partner, so to speak.
Mhm.
No conflict of interest, nothing. Was happy to
Mhm.
see him die and watched him die without a care in the world, which was I need to see more about her, about what
Yeah,
about
we do definitely
yeah,
need a Jane episode like we've had a Billy episode and now a President episode.
what makes somebody
Because
like that. Yeah,
yeah, you're up all night every night playing video games with this person. You're not thinking about nothing else. You're to me, that's my happy place, you know. So how I don't think I could just kill Squez without any uh without any feelings about it.
But you saw it in Billy, despite his background, there was conflicts of interest there. Like he didn't want to be what he once was, and he saw his whole life. He was in a chance to change, and he was. I knew the moment he told Xavier, "I'll let you know tomorrow, and I'll tell you everything." I knew that was the end of him. By the way, because when
Mhm.
somebody says that and they don't give out, they're never going to give out the information the next day.
Right.
They're dead. Just to make things a bit more tricky. Uh, Jumping onto the next person now is Agent Nicole, who is looking at Xavier. Agent Nicole being the lady the president was having an affair with. It was
Mhm.
really good to see it. Like the in betweens of what was happening when she went in the room and when she left the
Yeah,
room.
because we thought
Yeah,
she just had her affair and left. It
yeah,
was this happy go lucky thing. It was not, apparently.
yeah, exactly. And this was just before the president was killed as well.
And I feel like in this instance, his son said no to him. His dad wouldn't talk to him. He kind of had a feeling it was his last night, so he called his girl, and his girl didn't want anything to do with him. Like I kind of feel terrible about that.
Yeah, he's into the typical man move of trying a booty call. In the last, especially as he couldn't spend any time with his son, who obviously feels devastated that he turned his dad down, and his dad to make pasta for him and everything and all of that. So yeah, he never spent any time with his dad. Finally, he meets Agent Nicole, and they get their thing going. And there's something about those earrings constantly being put on the table that make me feel there's something to that. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, they showed him in the first episode, like they made a big deal about it, and in this episode. So are they like microphones? Are they, cameras or something?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
there is something to them.
I definitely feel like even if it's not along those lines, I do feel like it might. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking more into it than I just the way they focus on it, like it's some sort of not necessarily MacGuffin, but something that turns the tide on things. I mean, we kind of know that Sinatra has done all of this anyway, so it's
Mhm.
not like we have to figure out who the killer is, unless they throw, like I said, they throw a massive curveball at some point. But considering she got Jane to kill Billy early on, it does feel like Sinatra is definitely the person behind all of this. But Agent Nicole is looking for allies. Xavier himself doesn't trust anybody. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But he's still kind of duped by Jane, though. He might accidentally trust Jane because he might confide into her being a Secret Service agent
Right.
and
She
obviously
put on a
commit.
hell of a show at the end.
Yeah, so that's concerning me. But I
Mhm.
do believe she might. I do think Xavier might. I think he during the course of this episode he might have some like sort of not affiliation, but some sort of connection with Agent Nicole.
Mhm.
He might believe her because I think yeah, because they definitely feel something is bubbling up to the surface here. I don't know where we're going in all of this, but I did like the fact that obviously guns are going to get involved at some point,
Mhm.
you know, and Xavier at the very end got one of these tech guys, the guy with the dog, by the way. I forgot to
Yeah.
mention that the guy with the dog and you're not allowed pets in this land. Like
Yeah.
seriously,
That I was like, this is the hellhole. This is where you need your emotional support animals if you ever needed them ever.
not to have pets in this world in any capacity. You would think that's just as fundamental as human beings living as having animals live. Like
Mhm.
I mean, surely you need bees to pollinate your food. If they're growing
Right.
and all of these sort of things. Like I think yeah. So there's more to it than meets the eye. But regardless, because this guy's not allowed to have an animal, but at the same time, Xavier knows that he has an animal. He's kind of twisting his arm a little bit by saying, "Okay, I need you to do me a favor now, but I've been keeping your secret."
Mhm.
And that secret was to get on the machine and basically, I forgot how it ended, saying, "Not everything is what it seems," or something
It
like
says
that.
it said because I just watched it. You are being lied to,
Oh
or
yeah,
or something like that.
you are being lied to, which I didn't feel was a good enough way of outing Sinatra. He should have just said, Sinatra is manipulating you or something like
Right.
that, you know. Yeah, but regardless,
He could have put it out like more, because you were being lied to could be about anything, the cheese is not really cashews. you
yeah,
know
yeah,
the people, the food we're eating is actually people, it could be about
yeah,
anything, you
yeah,
know and
yeah,
then, but the fact that he was looking, that's when he was looking into her camera when that was happening. So that
yeah,
is interesting to me. Like, that was him. He was like, I know, I did this, and it's gonna be you against me now, which I don't know if that was a good move for him or not. Like, I wonder if he should have like held it under the cuff a little bit longer, at least to try to get some more information, at least to get to the guns, you know.
yeah. I mean, does he have access to those guns? Have he already off screen got to those guns and we don't realize? I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe he does have that code, which we find out in this episode is is the president's inauguration date, which he says is the code to get into the vault where the guns are, or whatever you want to call it. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know if Xavier put two and two together yet, because the only person that has that information is Robinson, and he's not really trusting Robinson yet. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think he might have just a little bit by the end, but by the end of the episode, but he's going to be once again. We spoke mentioned this yesterday, last week. Allies, he definitely needs them. I think he obviously will definitely pick Jane to his detriment, but I think something will happen that he'll figure Jane out. Obviously, I've seen this trope before so many
mhm,
times. Like Jane will let something slip, and then that will make him realize that Jane is not who she seems to be.
mhm,
Whether he ends up being a fugitive in this land or he's on the run from everyone and trying to use his special skills, so to speak, to keep ahead of everyone. Because in this world, not everyone's a military guy. There's loads of people who are just scientists who have relevance in this world in order to
mhm.
keep this world going. So I think all of that will come into play at some point as well. Oh, and finally, uh, the president's grandfather kind of, I think when she saw his grandson and Xavier's daughter together, it
Mhm.
reminded him of his son
And
and
Robinson.
and Robinson, Nicole Robinson, together as well. I'm not sure if he put two and two together
Mhm.
in that, but he kept on calling his grandson,
Cal.
his Cal, his son's name. And at one point, his grandson played along as well, just to see if he would say anything. Also, there's another thing, the bookmark. His
Mhm.
dad have. I feel there's something there. I don't know
There's
why.
something in that story he was definitely reading, because it was all
Yeah,
about darkness, and she controls it all is one of the lines, or something very close to that. So,
yeah.
there's definitely something to that story he was reading. Um,
There's a bigger picture to all of this. It's not just about the cat and mouse between Sinatra
right.
and Xavier. Like, do people want to leave this utopia stroke dystopia that they're in right now? Do they want to go out into the real world and challenge themselves? Do they want to bring people into their world? I mean, it's very up in the air regarding where that play what how that plays a part. Whether we get a conclusion to all of that, if this is just a one-off season, you know, will we have a resolution to that and maybe the doors open and then the fucking season ends? I have no idea, but I do feel that there's an overall narrative, not just catching a killer here, if you know what I
Mhm.
mean.
Right.
So
But it's also about taking down I don't know, if let's be Alex Jones, taking down the globalists, the people at the top that are pulling all the strings, you know.
yeah,
um so that's how I'm looking at it, is like, how do we stop these terrifying people um from hiding stuff from us, like they've always done our whole history of the world.
yes. I'm no fan of Alex Jones, by the way, but yes, I kind of get the
Neither am I.
interpretation. Interpretation you made, but yeah, fair enough. Yeah, trying to stop the people at the top. Um, yeah, I get you. It's weird in a way because it's a smaller world as well. There's only like 25,000 people here. it's a whole different ball
Mhm.
game. Like the people at the very top are people you probably know and might have even bumped into at some point and had lunch with.
Mhm.
So yeah. All right, let's mark this episode. What you want to give it out of 10?
Mm, probably a 7. That's probably good for me. We got some information. It wasn't as fast as I thought. So 7's pretty good.
I actually thought it was I actually did think it was a well paced episode. I felt a lot of revelation came here. It was a really good episode regarding uncovering things, but this revelation not necessarily is going to conclude things. It just explains certain things that we're wondering. Oh, what happened in this gap of timeline and all of that sort of stuff. Now it has got revealed. Whether that will do anything, I have no idea. But I did enjoy this episode. I'm going to give it an 8. I did feel that at the very end of this episode, the cat's kind of out of the bag to a
At least for
degree.
us.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see if Sinatra tries to do damage control and keep the people dumb and stupid and naive and all of that. So there's all of this comes into play. So I'm very looking forward to episode 6 and seeing where we go from there. All right,
Mhm.
excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much, Winnie, for joining me on this review, and to everyone out there on Winslow's Got Hope channel. Did I said that correctly? Only
Winslow's
Hope.
Only
Winslow's
Hope.
Only Hope. I apologize.
You're good.
Winslow's Only Hope, as well as here at NerdTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to both our channels, and to keep watching more on Paradise. We'll be back next week with another review. Thank you very much.